This is one of my two partners in crime during this entire thing. He's been really good through this whole thing. Okay, I want to film this as quick as possible because we are losing daylight, and yes, I do have a light right now on the windowsill, and this shadow, I apologize for this entire video, is going to be distracting, but I really can't do anything about it because I have no power, I have no service, I have no running water, and I have nothing right now. Like, nothing is working. For those of you who don't know, my wife, dog, and I recently moved down to Fort Myers 3 months ago from Connecticut, and yes, we did expect tropical storms, hurricanes, even tornadoes, but nothing to this extent. And I just want to document it, get it out here. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to upload this video again because I have no service. For those of you who have been reaching out to us and wondering if we are okay, we are okay. And this is the story from start to finish as to why this is one of the worst weeks of my entire life so far. Especially today on September 30th, 2 days after the hurricane. This video will be edited very minimal, super raw. We're gonna break this up into 3 sections. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do storm prep. We're gonna go through the storm, so we'll count that as 1 section. Second section is going to be what we've seen, the traumatizing things we've seen around Fort Myers. And 3, sum it all up, why this is the worst week of my life. So I need to say and state that we are super fortunate, and the people in our townhouse complex are all very fortunate because we did get hit head on. Not as much damage as what's around us and what we've seen, and I'm gonna get into that in part 2. Now let's talk about preparation leading up to the storm really quick. We had a bunch of people from back home in Connecticut reach out to us, making sure we had the right supplies, making sure we were prepared, telling us to put water in the bathtub, and thank God we did, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. And yeah, just keeping an eye on the storm for us, even though we saw it as well. The people of Florida who I've met, who I talked to prior to the storm, who have lived here for a long time, didn't take it as seriously as they should have. I spoke to a woman in our complex, and I swear to God, I said to her, "Are you ready for the storm?" And her exact words were, "What storm? This is gonna be nothing." And boy, did she eat her words. Aside from people texting us, I had to prepare the house because we didn't know if we were gonna get flooding. We had storm surges, we had heavy winds, so we had to put these steel shutters on our windows, which you are gonna see right now, me putting them up. It took me a good 6 hours because 1, it was my first time doing it. 2, a lot of the bolts were rusted. Did not have all the wing nuts, and I had to go around the complex just asking everybody if they had an extra set of wing nuts for the shutters. And also, the tile on the ceiling or on the roof is very fragile. If you step on it the wrong way, you will crack it, and that's not cool for the homeowner. So just had to be very careful the entire time. I ended up doing that. We were originally supposed to have somebody come put them up. That person never showed. I'm guessing they were swamped with work, which is understandable. Let's talk about the day of. Before we get into any of it, 2 times I took out Archie, my dog. Remember these 2 times, once in the morning and once at 4 o'clock. About 4 o'clock, 4:30. In the morning, woke up, had power, was able to shower. We had food in the refrigerator that was cold. We had running water. We had everything we needed. Wi-Fi, signal, everything. And yeah, you don't realize how much life sucks without all of that. So normal day in the beginning, when we woke up about 8 o'clock, and we were watching the news to kind of track the storm to see when it would hit us, and they told us about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. A lot of rain hitting us prior to the storm, just kind of prepping us, and it was a lot. The 2 o'clock mark hits, that's when the wind starts picking up. Can't really see anything outside because you have shutters on your entire window. We did open up the front door, and I'm going to show you a video while I talk about this. And this was what we saw on our street. Palm trees going crazy. I saw a lot of rain, no one outside. Everybody stayed home, no one evacuated, even though it was recommended that Fort Myers evacuated. A lot of people, again, didn't take this as seriously as they should. So we dealt with heavy wind all day, but up until 4 o'clock is when it started getting heavy, like hitting us head on. 155-mile-an-hour winds hitting the windows, making the roof shake, making the entire house rumble. Something you've never seen before. Another thing that's kind of burned into my head is when the power went out and all you hear is just this big surge of electricity blow up either a transformer or just something around us, and everyone's power went boom, black, nothing, you can't see anything. And that's when things started to get nuts. Fast forward, wind's hitting us. We put everything upstairs when it comes to electronics, all of our personal stuff, just in case, God forbid, it did flood, and it flooded fast. We had it upstairs, but the flood didn't show up until later on in the day. So what we did when the heavy winds were going, I'm like, oh, it's just gonna be wind. I don't see any streets flooding. So I'm gonna put everything back downstairs. We're gonna go just kind of brace it up here on the top floor with everything downstairs. Just relax, go to bed later on. So I thought that was a good idea. 4 o'clock hits when I take Archie out. Heavy, heavy rain, heavy wind, some fences down, some bushes uprooted. Nothing out of the ordinary. After we take Archie in, look out the front door, flooding. I'm not even exaggerating. In 3 minutes, it went from the street all the way to our door. Annie and I panicked. Annie, my wife, both panicked, got everything back upstairs, and we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Because if this water gets all the way in, 1, we can't get out upstairs because everything is bolted from the outside. You cannot get out. And 2, what do we do? Like, what do we do? No 911 calls. They're not responding to any. Can't call anybody. Can't call for help. Yes, we have people in our complex, but they would be facing the same thing. Didn't get a life jacket, which that's what we learned. Didn't get a life jacket for Archie. Now, after we took out Archie and the water started coming, we also heard outside somebody screaming for help and dogs barking and just a bunch of stuff. And it's just like these things you'll never get out of your mind. A lot of things learned and a lot of just panicking and just scary moments leading up to it. Luckily, about only an inch of water got into the garage, and for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know how this happens, but it hit our door, nothing got inside, and started going back out. Like the water started going back out. Luckily, it did not get inside. I keep saying that, but we're so lucky, we're so fortunate. Everybody around in our complex is so fortunate. Everything continued. The street stayed flooded, but it wasn't rising anymore, so it was good. So it continued all through the night. Super hot in here. Yes, we did have a breeze through the storm shutters when you open up the window, especially when everything started to calm down a little bit. But I wasn't expecting everything the next day. Into part 2 is let's talk about the trauma and what we saw and what we've seen, and I'm going to play some video while I talk about this. This is something I have never seen in my entire life before, or just experienced. You'll hear choppers going by non-stop up and down our street because we live close to the hospital. Helicopters going back non-stop, transporting people. That's all we've been hearing for the past 2 days. So woke up next morning about 6 o'clock in the morning to see where the flooding was. Luckily it went down. We cleared the drains a little bit. People out here cleared the drains a little bit. Water went down a lot, almost dry at that point. And what you're seeing right now is what we saw firsthand. We saw trees, we saw telephone poles snapped, we've seen street lights, like traffic lights, completely just right off the cord. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Cars submerged in water. I've seen houses completely submerged in water. I've seen mailboxes and just so many different things destroyed. Mobile homes absolutely demolished. Like refrigerators in the middle of the highway. People fishing out of their doorways. Wild things. And one thing that is absolutely burned into my head is when we went by the local grocery store on the way heading back home from looking at all the damage, we saw a dead body on the side of the road. And I feel horrible because it was just discovered as we saw it. Cop just pulled up, car submerged in water, and the person's body in the water as well. Again, something I've never seen before. And I've seen dead bodies in news. I've covered plenty of them. But something eerie about this one is we don't know how long it was out there. We don't know the trauma it faced for how long. And no one was able to hear the cries for help. Period. Like, no one was around. No one could respond to that. There's not even a 911 call. Nothing. Now, after seeing all of this, I could say honestly, I've seen things like this on TV, as you have probably, whoever's watching this. Hurricane Katrina sticks out to me the most when it hit New Orleans, and I was like, wow, that is horrible, and you just really don't realize what it's like until you're actually here. You have no water, no food, no nothing. You cannot use a toilet. I'm not going to get into detail, but basically, to sum this all up, this experience was terrible. I never wish this upon anybody. My prayers and thoughts go out to the ones who were not fortunate during the storm and who don't have a home right now, who have lost a loved one. The beach that we normally go to is completely destroyed, not even existing anymore. Fort Myers Beach is destroyed. The pier's gone. Restaurants are gone. Things are just demolished, like demolished. I never wish this upon anybody. Ever. And again, thoughts and prayers to the families who are actually like got hit massively during this, because they're right down the street. If you ever have a hurricane that's category 4 or approaching that, category 4, category 5, seriously, take it serious. Like, don't just joke about it. And why this is also the worst week of my life is, of course, today on September 30th, we put down my family dog and I couldn't be there. And I'm hurting. Rest easy to my family dog, Katie. You guys have seen her. We took her to Wendy's a couple of years ago on this channel. We've been to the park on the channel. Like, big part of life is just gone. And I couldn't be there for it. So, just a lot hitting me this week. And yeah. So, thanks for watching. If anybody has any questions and you're just curious about anything, please let me know in the comments down below. Yeah. Thanks for watching.